What up, though? All praises go to the Most High, man. It's your boy Trail, man. Today, I feel inspired to talk about childhood trauma, man. So, we all experience, traumatic things in our childhood. And as adults, sometimes, it can really affect us, man. It can affect us in our day-to-day life, whether we realize it or not. You know what I'm saying? So I feel like it's best for us to, reflect on our childhood trauma, you know what I mean? And try to look at it from an adult or a more mature point of view. You know what I'm saying? So as a child, man, my most traumatic experiences, man, was dealing with death. You know what I'm saying? Like, I lost people who, meant a lot to me as a child. You know what I'm saying? Like, with my grandparents, you know what I mean? My granddaddies, to be specific, you know what I mean? When I was little, I lost both of my granddaddies, and it was very, very traumatic to me. I ain't gonna lie. Them was my main ones. I ain't gonna lie. They was real important to me. You know what I'm saying? And it was traumatic to me because, my father, his daddy, my daddy, when he passed away, he was like on hospice or whatever. He was on bed rest. He was, and he was at our house, you know what I mean? So it's like I literally witnessed him pass away, you know what I mean? And he was a very significant person in my life, you know what I mean? Like, at the time, he probably was like my best friend for real. Like, he really is the reason why I like learning so much and why I like history so much. You know what I mean? Like, he taught me so much stuff. You know what I mean? So when I was going through, losing him, we all was going through losing him. It kind of affected me in a way that was like detachment. You know what I mean? It just made me like not really just be able to hold on to things like that. It kind of messed me up a little bit for real. But in an adult perspective, I understand that it made me a little cold, especially at that time, because I really didn't know how to deal with it for real. It was like, one minute he was there, next minute he was gone. You know what I'm saying? Then, like, after that, I lost my mama daddy. You know what I mean? So, and I lost him in a very similar way. Like, he was on hospice. You know what I mean? He was in the bed rest, and he lived with us too. Up until his last days, and it was like I was reliving it all over again, you know what I mean? And it's like to see people that you love so much, in they last phase of life, it, especially to a child, it kind of confuses you, it make you just kind of cold towards death a little bit. Like, you kind of like detached from death, you know what I mean? Like, it kind of make you, I can honestly say it kind of made me like not really care about when people passed away, if that makes sense. Like, it kind of made me not really put so much emphasis on it, like so much significance on it, because it really hurt me, and the only way I could deal with it is to like push it to the back, like not deal with it, in a sense. And then after that, my mama, her mother had passed away, she had got murdered, you know what I mean? And that really messed me up a lot, you know what I mean? Because and it's so crazy, it messed me up so much. I can't tell y'all she passed away before my granddaddy or after my granddaddy. I really don't even remember for real. Like, them experiences kind of made me forget or like bottle up a lot of my childhood. I can't even remember a lot of stuff for real, because it never really did me no good to just dwell on it or just to remember about it, or just to think about it. You know what I mean? I always wanted to just remember the good memories of them, the fine memories of them. When my mama, when her mother, had got murdered or whatever, it definitely made me cold to death because, this was my grandma. I never really knew her like that, you know what I mean? But in a physical sense, but my soul knew her, so when I found out about it, it hurt me, you feel me? Like, it's my grandma, she done got killed, you know what I mean, for lack of better words. So it really put me in a place like, man, anybody can die. You know what I mean? Like, anybody could get killed. Somebody didn't even care about my grandma, older lady, because this just from a child's perspective. I'm not really understanding her life. I'm not really understanding the world like that. I'm just looking at it from, man, I ain't never see them kids on Dennis the Menace grandma get murdered, or I ain't never see, none of these people on TV grandma get murdered, so it kind of made me like, what happened? Like, people so cruel out here, to kill a older lady, you know what I mean? And then when we had the funeral, the funds, we probably had lack of funds at the time. I really don't know. I was young, you know what I mean? But even the way they buried her, that when we went to go view her body, they just had her in a cardboard box. So I can honestly say that really fucked me up a little bit. You know what I mean? Even though I heard so many, crazy stories about her, and I heard so many crazy things, in the upbringing of my mother and stuff like that. It really made me just feel like, damn, this a fucked up world out here. Like, this a fucked up world. I really just couldn't understand it, you know what I mean? And it just really made me detached from life and death, you know what I mean? It made me numb to it. It made me cold to it, And now that I'm an adult, I see that these situations made me detach a lot in my life. You know what I mean? It made me be cold to a lot of things in my life. You know what I mean? To a lot of things that I should feel for and be empathetic for, and a lot of emotions and a lot of, a lot of different feelings. Like, I was just cold to since them early experiences in my life. And I feel like it's only beneficial for us to revisit some of these things because it can really help us, to move on. And it can help us to be understanding, about the way we act about a lot of stuff, and the way we go about a lot of stuff, you know what I mean? Because to be detached from, love itself, or be detached from life or death, or be detached from all these things that we experience, it don't really help us, you know what I mean? Now, I'm not saying that I just, let it weigh me down or let it burden me, but I'm saying, that I have to realize that I gotta, be more present emotionally, because that's really what it really made me do. It really made me bottle my emotions. I really didn't know how to express the type of hurt that I was feeling at the time. You know what I mean? But like, I ain't really know how to communicate it. You know what I'm saying? And it kind of messed up my communication, like, going forward in life. You know what I mean? I'd be feeling a certain type of way. I'd be thinking certain type of things. And I really didn't I really ain't know how to express that stuff to people because I was just so used to just bottling it up. I was so used to just putting it to the side. You know what I mean? I was so used to my trauma response was just looking past it. You know what I mean? To keep looking forward, to keep moving forward. You know what I'm saying? But I feel like with a lot of these childhood traumas, you know what I mean? We shouldn't dwell in them, but we should definitely, reflect on them because they affect us more than we realize. You know what I mean? They affect the current relationships we in. You know what I mean? If you lost somebody or if something happened to you in your childhood that was kind of traumatic, you know what I mean? It make you be numb to when others are going through that. You know what I mean? It make you be numb to when your own kids are going through that. You know what I mean? So I love y'all, man. Good thoughts, good vibes in a minute.